Hey guys, it's Ron. I'm sitting in the back of my 2016 Ram Promaster City, here to talk about some sound deadening today. I went ahead and chose Noico, and the main reason that I chose this, it was an 80 millimeter product, and it is the main reason I chose it is because it's black. Every other sound deadener I saw was the silver, and it had the name splattered all over the place. I don't know if I'm ever going to cover this in the van. I'm putting the sound deadener in, but I'm not sure if I'm ever going to put anything up on top of that. So I just didn't want to look at the silver for a long period of time. So anyway, in order to install it, I let you take a look at what tools are required to do that. So here's what I used to start off the project. Actually, there's some degreaser that you want to start with. The instructions on this were to spray it down, let it sit for a couple minutes, and wipe it off. It then hit it afterwards with water, and so I did that. I did it on the entire inside of the vehicle because I figured I'd forget. So I just went ahead and did the entire inside of what I was going to do that day, and hit that first. It's really important to do that. The only other tools that I really used were a box cutter, shears, kitchen shears, good stiff ones. I use this dental pick. Is really what it is, but you could probably get away with using, a steel tip dart or even a paper clip that's bent open. It's to remove the backing off of it. Sometimes it's just hard to get the backing off of the material. Then I did buy the steel roller, which comes in really handy. And I use this. This one comes in pretty handy too, just a short piece of flexible tape so I can get a couple of measurements from inside the vehicle. So in terms of cutting the material, I found it a little bit easier to cut it to cut shorter pieces than the longer pieces. I went this way several times, and you just kind of start wavering after a while. Maybe if I clamped it down or something, it would work out a little bit better. But this has worked for me. First of all, I do the paper side up. For the first several sheets, I did it the other side, and it just seems to go a little bit easier this way. So to do it quick outside the vehicle, I just measure. If I wanted a 5-inch piece, measure those. I have a piece of T-track that's in my bench here, so that it'll let the blade slide through. So if I push on this very hard, lean it up against, and just go slowly, it doesn't walk on me, and I wind up having a nice clean cut. So I actually started doing the top. I thought that would be the most difficult part, and I was right in terms of the amount of physical effort it takes. Once you put the stuff up and you start rolling it, it's quite a workout. So I did that, but it turns out that really wasn't the hardest part. Doing the sides and all the different angles and things makes it interesting. But anyway, I wanted to address one item is that a lot of people have talked about this not being very flexible. I'm working today, it's 85 degrees out here, and this is very floppy. So if you're having a problem with it being stiff, it just needs to be warmed up, whether that's a heat gun, whether that's keep it in your house, or whatever. So getting right to it, in terms of when I did the roof, I would take sheets of it, peel this back, and set it up here, and kind of work my way in. And you want to make sure to account for these ridges that are in here, and push them in. And then when you roll, you want to make sure that you roll in the center of it and work your way out, or start on one end and work your way in, because you will get air bubbles. If you go straight over one of these big ravines here, you're going to get an air bubble behind it, and the product may actually split, especially on some of the larger divots, I would call them, inside the wheel wells and such. So just be mindful of that when you're going along, just to push in as you go, and take it from there. Another item is in terms of cutting it, getting in and out of the van was just too much for me. That's why doing the inside on the ceiling, that was okay. But in terms of doing the sides and getting all the cut pieces in here, cutting it, just jumping out of the van to cut it and jumping back in to put it in was just too much of a pain. So I've actually resorted to bringing a sheet of this inside the van, and actually the pattern on it is helpful. You can actually get a pretty good straight cut just using the shears. So that was a way that I've learned to deal with not getting in and out of the van so often. So just a quick demonstration of just installing one piece and what I've been doing. You just take a piece, I set it here, I wound up cutting this edge, and then I made a couple cutouts for these holes. Speaking of all these holes, I don't think I'm going to need all of them. I don't know if I'm going to need any of them, but I didn't want to hide every single hole. So in some cases I am accommodating and leaving access to those holes. So like I said, for smaller pieces, it's easier to just take the whole back off. And if you wind up having some little pieces, use your pick or your fingers to get it off. This is butyl, and it's sticky. It's really sticky. So I just line up on the bottom, make sure I'm close, and then kind of roll up. Just make sure you roll it up as you go. And after that, then I either start at an edge or start in the middle, and just go ahead and roll the whole thing out, just so that you don't see the diamond pattern anymore. I know some people might say that this is overkill, because if I had a full-size Ram Promaster, I would not go to this extent, because first of all, there's a couple things to consider. There's weight. A box of this is about 25 pounds. So I'm about a box and a half into it right now, and a 36 square foot box. So there's 9 sheets in the box. That did the ceiling, that did this wall, did the back, as I'll show you. And then it'll probably finish up this wall. So with 2 boxes, 50 pounds, 25 pounds a box, I've added to the weight of the vehicle. And again, some might say that that's total overkill. You just need a small patch in here, a couple patches in here. I don't know if I'm going to do much more. I know that there's going to be, I may put some inside the door panels. I've already put some in the door panels in the cargo doors. Didn't notice a huge difference back there, but I am noticing a very big difference, and I'm pretty encouraged. Every time I put more in, it gets a little quieter down here. If you were going to do the floor, I don't have to. Mine has about a 1/4 inch mat that's already on the floor, so that would be a box probably by itself. So if you go nuts and go into the cab and pull down the headliner and carpets and take the seats out and do the whole thing, that's probably going to be another box. And now you're talking about you added 100 pounds of weight to it. So just something to consider. I think it's gotten a lot quieter since I've done this, and I've done 100% coverage. So I'm very happy with the product, very happy with the way it installed, other than it's just a real pain and it's extremely time consuming. If you have any comments, I'd love to hear them, or suggestions, and that's about it. Have a great day, everybody.